And now we turn our attention to my app of the week. And this week I'm talking about Speech Central. In Speech Central, I try to show you how to use this to read various articles, books, and things like that. And here comes Speech Central. Hi, and welcome to another app demonstration from blind Android users. Today, I'll be demonstrating an app called Speech Central. Speech Central is an electronic reading app that I came across a little over 2 years ago. At the time when I got Speech Central, I think I paid like $6 or $7 for it. However, today, as a blind person or someone who is visually impaired, you could actually get Speech Central absolutely for free. In demonstrating this app, I will be using the Vocalizer TTS. I am now sitting in the menu eye of the app and will give you a tour of the app. When you open up the app, at the very top right corner is the search button. At the bottom of the phone, we have a total of 5 tabs. Starting from the bottom left and going to the right, we have the following tabs.
Headlines.
Headlines.
Articles and books. Old articles. Recently deleted. Extras.
Extras, the last one. I would like to activate the extras because in the extras menu, we will find settings, and that we will use in customizing the app to one's liking. I will now tap on extras and open up the menu.
Extras.
When you open up extras, there are a total of 5 buttons or 5 items in the menu. Here are the items starting from the top. We've got
Settings 3 period button.
Settings.
Log into website 3 period button. Help button. Contact support 3 period button.
And
About button.
That's the last item in this menu. I would now like to go up and tap on Settings.
Settings 3 period button. Random settings. Settings. Navigate up button.
Tapping on Settings, here are the items that we find, starting from the top, and we can actually literally go on for an hour just exploring through the settings and things like that, but I am not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to go through the items. You can go through these items on your own and further customize it to your own liking. I will therefore show you what we have here in settings and make comments here and there on items that I think are worthy of comments. Here's what we got.
Speech.
We have the speech, and under speech we got
Drop-down list. Auto detect for language.
You could tap here to go choose your language or let it automatically detect as to what language your system is using. Let's go down.
Voice.
Voice, and probably this is one of the most important ones in these settings.
Drop-down list. Random. Prefer high quality for voice.
We have a randomized voices. In other words, the voices are going to be chosen at random when you are reading an article or reading a book. If you want to change this, however, to some other locally stored TTS engine on your phone, you can tap in here and go choose that. By default, this is though using the randomized voices, which of course are network voices, meaning you'll be utilizing network connectivity. Or you could choose down below here and set it to use both Wi-Fi and mobile network, meaning whenever you're out of the Wi-Fi zone, it will automatically default to using your mobile data. Let's go down and see what other items we have here in these settings.
Drop-down list. Only on Wi-Fi for use voices that consume data. Standard speed. Slider. 50%.
And that's speed now.
High speed. Slider. 75%. Voice pitch. Slider. 50%. Volume. Slider. 100%. Reading screen.
This is a reading screen, and this has to do with things like fonts and visuals that those who have some sight can use it. Besides, Speech Central is not only intended for the blind, but also for people who are dyslexics and other disabilities. Let's go down now and see what we have in the screen area.
Font size. Drop-down list, 19 for font size. Font. Drop-down list, Atkinson Hyperlegible for font. Color scheme. Drop-down list for color scheme.
I'm going to scroll up.
Highlight drop-down list, yellow for highlight color. Sleep timer. Drop-down list, off for sleep timer. Auto scroll. Drop-down list, middle for auto scroll. Line height, slider, 0%. Disable screen lock, switch, off. Headlines. Maximum item length. Drop-down list, 5 minutes for maximum item length.
And you can change that to what you like.
Summaries. Drop-down list, cut long for summaries. Button functions 3 period, button. Announce the text length. Drop-down list, never for announce the text length.
You could tap here and go choose for it to let you know as to how much the text length is. Let's scroll down.
Drop-down list, never for announce the text. Add new article 2. Drop-down list, bottom for add new article 2. Automatic share import. Drop-down list, off for automatic share import. Sync by Pocket 3 period, button.
And the last item here is to sync using Pocket, which is another great app for reading web articles and things like that. I will now go back to the main UI of the app. I am now back in the main UI of the app. Let's now take a look at some of these tabs here at the bottom. I will tap on the Articles and Books tab, which is the second tab from the bottom left.
Articles and Books.
Now that I have tapped on Articles and Books, we now have another additional button here at the bottom, just above the one that says Extras. And that button is the Add Item. I will go ahead now and tap on this Add Item and see what we have.
Add Item, button, Add Item, import file 3 period, in list.
Upon tapping on Add Item, we have a menu. And in the menu, we have the following items that we could choose to add. Starting from the top, which is right there in the middle of the phone, we have
Import file 3 period.
Import file.
Paste.
I could paste something from my clipboard.
Type 3 period.
Or I could tap here to type something.
Web article 3 period.
Web article. I could tap here and go choose a web article to import.
Bookshare 3 period.
Or Bookshare, and at the bottom here is the cancel. So in other words, I could actually tap on Bookshare and log into my Bookshare account if one has one, and from there you could read Bookshare books instead of using that clunky Go Read Bookshare app. Let's go ahead and go tap on the one that says Import File and go grab something and show you how to read it. I will now go tap on the import file and find and import something from my books.
Import file 3 period. Articles and Books. Books, Pixel 2 XL, in list.
I am told I am in my books folder on the Pixel 2 XL. Now, if you have an item somewhere that you would like to import, for example, other than from within your books area, or somewhere on your SD card, if you have a phone that has an SD card slot, you could tap on the show routes near the top left and go choose where that folder is located. I am, however, in the books folder, and I'm going to find one of the books that I have, which is now in the public domain. And that will be a book by William Tecumseh Sherman, a book now in public domain.
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman, EPUB, 855. Articles and Books.
It just imported that book, and now it's in my main area of Articles and Books. And if I put my finger down,
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman, complete, 37 hours, 58 minutes, and 34 seconds.
That's how many hours it would take me to finish reading this book. Now that we have another item here, so we got two, you could rearrange these items as to which one goes to the top and which one goes to the bottom. And in order to do that, you have to long press one of these items. I'm going to long press one of them and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Memoirs of General William T. Sherman.
I just long pressed, and upon long pressing, now we have some toolbars near the top of the phone. I'm going to start from the right.
More options button.
There's some more options.
Move up.
Then to the left of that is move up
Move down.
or move down. Let's tap on the more options and see what we got.
More options button. Pop-up window. Share 3 period. In list.
Tapping on the more options, we got share,
Delete.
delete, which means if I tap on this, it will move the book to my recently deleted tab that we saw earlier.
Move to old articles.
Move to all articles.
Open original. Toggle favorite. Edit 3 period. Export audio file. Export Word document 3 period. Select all.
Or last, select all. We'll be talking about exporting to audio file and things like export to Microsoft Word or even editing the file. When it comes to editing, what that means is that if I'm reading something and I find something that is misspelled, I could long press on it and go choose to edit, and then I will actually edit that. If I want to export the whole book into a Word document, however, I have to open that book or just long press on it and go choose to export it to Word document. I could also choose to export it as an audio file, which means it'll be saved in a .wav format. Let's now open this.
Memoirs of General Media Control. Memoirs of General William T. Sherman. Complete.epi.
I got this book from Project Gutenberg, which means it's available to anyone for download. Now that we have the book opened, however, we have more items in the way of buttons. At the bottom, we have the following buttons. At the very bottom left, we have the previous. Then at the very bottom right, we have the next. Sandwiched in between these two buttons are 3 additional buttons. Starting from the left, we have
Navigation panel button.
Navigation panel, which means if we tap on it, it will take us to the same area within the settings that we saw earlier, and I'm not going to go into that. I will now move my finger to the right of this and see what we have.
Play button.
We have play, which means if I tap here, it will start reading the book. To the right of that, we have
High speed off button.
high speed is off. However, if I want to set it to high speed, especially when we saw in the control area that the high speed was at 75%, if I tap this, it's going to set it to 75% with respect to the speed. Let's now look at the top because opening the book also introduced a couple more items besides the search. On the top right corner, we have that
More options button.
more options, and to the left of that we have
Search.
and another button to the left of the search is
Navigation.
navigation. Let's go ahead and tap on navigation. Tapping on navigation introduces 4 new tabs. These are found just an inch below the top.
Chapters tab 1 of 4.
We've got chapters,
Titles tab 2 of 4.
titles,
Annotations tab 3 of 4.
and the last item we have here is other.
Other tab 4 of 4.
By default, we're thrown in the Chapters tab, and that's the one that's selected by default. In other words, you can put your finger down and go pick up a chapter that you would like to start with. If I put my finger down in the middle of the phone,
7 in list.
that's 7.
6
I'm going up
5 4 3
or
4
going down.
5 6 7 8 9 10
If I scroll up,
26 29 34 35 30 37.
so there are a lot of chapters in this book. Let's see the next tab, which is found to the right of the chapter tab.
Titles tab 2 of 4. Titles selected. Titles page 2 of 4.
Tapping on titles, here's what we got.
Memoirs of General Sherman. Inlet Memoirs of General W.T. Sherman by Volume 1. Volume 1.
I'm just going
Preface to the
down.
second edition. Contents. Volume 2. Illustrations. Memo Chapter I. From 1820 to the Mexican War.
And that's it about the title. Let's now tab on the one that says Annotations.
Annotations. Tab 3 of 4. Annotations. Selected. Annotations. No items. 3 of 4.
Tapping on annotations, we're told we don't have any items, and that's because I haven't commented on anything. To the right of that, we have
Other, tab 4 of 4, Other, selected, Other, page 4 of 4.
tapping on Other. Here's what we got.
Spell current sentence, in list. Back 30 seconds.
I'm just moving my finger down.
Skip 60 seconds. Previous sentence. Next sentence. Previous paragraph. Next paragraph. Previous title. Next title. Previous bookmark. Next bookmark. Previous chapter. Next chapter.
And things like that. I'm going to go tap on the chapter.
Chapters, tab, chapters, select.
I will now just simply find one at random and tap on it.
6.
Chapter V.
Navigation,
California,
out of
New York, and Kansas. 1857-1859. Having closed the bank at San Francisco on the first day of May,
And it starts reading chapter
accompanied
6.
by my family, I
Pause,
embarked in
button,
the steam.
play.
And the good thing is that you can actually even use your keyboard. In other words, if you like to use your physical keyboard that is connected to your phone, you could use that keyboard to read line by line and things like that. Let's now see how we go about creating an audio file. I will be using the one about the Google Drive in creating an audio file. We could either simply tap on it and open it, or long pressing on it and then find and tap on the more options on the top right and go tap on create audio file or export audio file. Let me now go ahead and tap on that file.
How to back up your Android phone and data with Google One. What? Media control. How to back up your Android phone and data with Google One.
And of course, we could tap to play it or just simply read it with the screen reader and all of that. But let's go ahead though and create an audio file out of this. I will now find and tap on that more options on the top right corner.
More options. Pop-up window. Open original. In list.
I will find and tap on export audio.
Edit text 3 period. Export audio file. Export audio file. Navigate up. Button. Out of list.
When we tap on export audio file, we have some items in here. In other words, we could choose as to what language we would like to export this audio file into and as to how fast we would like it to read. So let's take a look at the items that we have here. Starting from the top, we've got the following.
Voice.
Voice. In other words, we choose the language or the voice we want to use.
Drop down list. Random. Prefer high quality. For voice.
Let's tap here.
Pop-up window. Random. Prefer high quality. Checked. In list.
Tapping on that, we are shown different voices that we could use in the creation of this audio file, including regional English languages and things like that. And I'm thinking that if you have a device that has some other languages, you probably will see those languages in here as well. But because mine is an English system, all I can see is a lot of the English voices from the UK, the United States, India, and other places like that.
N in language English, India. N in language export. Drop down list. N in language English, India.
So I just tapped on the Indian language, for example. Now below that Indian language, we now need to choose as to how fast we would like it to read. And so we'll tap on the drop down and choose the speed.
Drop down list. 0.8x for speed.
Tap here.
Pop-up window. 0.8x. Checked. In list.
Upon tapping on the speed, you could choose a different speed and things like that. You could choose to make it slower or faster.
0.8x. Checked. 0.8x. Checked. 0.9x. 1x.
Let's put it on 1x.
1x. Export audio file. Drop down list.
Now below that 1x or that drop down, we have the start. And that's on the left side of the screen there.
Start button.
Tapping on start, if we move our finger up a little bit, we will find the progress. In other words, the percentage of the conversion.
Drop down list progress bar. 87 share.
It finishes the conversion and automatically takes us to the sharing page. In other words, we need to choose an app that we would like to share it with. I would like to use a file management app so I could save it to save my documents or something like that. So I'm going to use my Solid Explorer or some other file management app.
Files by Google. Send with Files app. Row 3. Solid Explorer. Save to.
Here's Solid Explorer. I'll tap here.
Save to. Internal memory. Button. Out of grid.
Tapping on that, I'm taken to internal memory. I'll tap here.
Internal memory.
Now that I'm in my internal memory or storage, I will find and tap on Documents.
Books. 3 documents. Download documents.
I just tapped on Documents, and at the bottom, I'm going to select that Documents folder.
Select Documents.
Tap.
Saving in my files. File copy. Preparing operation.
How to back up your Android phone and data with Google
And it
One.
starts reading.
Google One is arguably a favorite among the best cloud services out there. One of the reasons we like it so much is that it can back up your
And I
Android
could tap
phone
to
and keep
stop
an
it.
encrypted
Reading
copy in the
position.
cloud.
Reading pause.
That way,
Pause
if something
button.
happens to your
I just tap to pause that reading. And that's how you go about saving something as an audio file. Overall, I'll say that the Speech Central is definitely a good app, most especially when it's free. You can use it in reading your web articles, books, documents, and so forth. And that's Speech Central.
Now, about Speech Central, I tried it. I actually do have it right now, but the thing with it, it sometimes often crashes, especially if I'm trying to select my navigation unit. So, does that happen to you?
Actually, no, I haven't seen that. Maybe you need to give it a try again because it gets regular updates, and I'm sure whatever problem you are having with it in that past must have been fixed because I've never experienced that. But absolutely, the Speech Central has to be one of the must-haves for anyone who would like to be able to use use it for reading books and other articles and things like that. And you know what I like about it is that randomized voices. I really like that, most especially if you're on data, Wi-Fi, or you could even set it up to use your mobile data.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm reading an audiobook, especially with Google Cloud Voices. Like, it's just pretty cool.
They're really good.